The quarterly Anderson family business dinner at Manhattan's exclusive Per Se restaurant was in full swing. Crystal glasses clinked as the successful members of the family celebrated another record year for Anderson Financial Group, the company my father had built over 30 years, and the one I'd refused to join. "So, Julia," Mom's voice dripped with familiar disappointment, "still playing around with that internet thing?" I smoothed my simple black dress, a custom piece from my own luxury techwear line, though they'd never recognize it. The restaurant's private room felt suffocating, filled with the self-congratulatory air of old money trying to look new. "It's not playing, Mom," I replied, checking my phone as another alert flashed. My company had just processed more transactions in the last hour than Anderson Financial handled in a year. "I'm running a business." "A business?" My brother Peter scoffed, adjusting his Rolex. "Selling things online isn't a business, sis. It's a hobby." Dad barely looked up from his Wagyu steak. "Julia, be reasonable. The VP position at Anderson Financial is still open. Time to stop this internet entrepreneur fantasy and join the real world." If they only knew that while they were clinging to their traditional banking methods, I'd built Nova Digital, the largest financial technology company in history. That their precious Anderson Financial Group was about to become a tiny subsidiary in my empire. "Speaking of the real world," Peter continued, "we just landed the Morgan account. 10 billion in assets under management." Mom beamed. "That's my successful child." I took a sip of wine from my own vineyard, another detail they'd learn about soon enough. 10 billion? Nova Digital processed that much every 30 minutes. "And Julia?" Peter's wife Amanda asked with fake concern. "How's your little website doing?" Before I could answer, my CFO's message flashed across my phone. "Acquisition complete. Anderson Financial Group stocks transferred. Ready when you are." "Actually," I smiled, "business is good." "Good." Dad laughed. "Sweetheart, you work from your apartment with a laptop. That's not good, that's concerning." That apartment was actually the entire top floor of Nova Tower, the city's most expensive building. The laptop was quantum-powered technology that made Anderson Financial systems look like ancient history. "Julia needs to grow up," Mom declared, signaling for more wine. "Playing entrepreneur on the internet while her brother manages billions." Right on cue, every phone at the table buzzed simultaneously. Breaking news alerts. Dad pulled out his phone, frowning. "Breaking. Anderson Tech acquired by." He stopped, his face draining of color as he saw my corporate headshot accompanying the headline. "By Nova Digital," I finished for him. For those keeping score, that's a $47 billion acquisition. Just completed about. I checked my watch, 3 minutes ago. The silence that fell over the table was absolute. Peter's fork clattered against fine china. Mom's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. That's impossible," Dad whispered. "Nova Digital is the largest fintech company in the world. They're worth $1.2 trillion as of market close today," I supplied. "Though with this acquisition, we'll probably hit $1.5 trillion by morning." Mom's voice trembled. "His mom. That internet thing you've been mocking? It's called Nova Digital. I'm the founder and I just bought Dad's company." Peter's Rolex suddenly looked very cheap compared to the empire his hobby sister had built. "This is a joke," he stammered. You don't." My phone buzzed again. "Excuse me," I said, standing. "That's the president's economic advisor. We're restructuring the global financial system and he needs my input." But this was just the beginning. They hadn't even seen my real empire yet. The Per Se's private dining room had transformed into an impromptu corporate war room. The elegant place settings were quickly pushed aside as my executive team entered, carrying tablets and displaying real-time market data on the restaurant's smart walls, another Nova Digital innovation. "Ms. Miller," my CFO Sarah Chin approached, "global markets are reacting to the acquisition. Nova stock is up 32% in after-hours trading. Asian markets are calling it the financial revolution." Dad stared at his phone, repeatedly refreshing the news as if hoping the headlines would change. They didn't. His life's work had just become a minor subsidiary in his daughter's empire. "Your system's integration timeline," Sarah continued, distributing tablets to my team. Andersen Financial's infrastructure needs complete overhaul. Their technology is primitive. Primitive. Peter stood up, his face red. We just upgraded our entire system last year. To technology Nova Digital considered obsolete 3 years ago, I corrected. Those fancy trading algorithms you're so proud of? My company processed more transactions while we were having this conversation than Andersen Financial handles in a month. Mom's perfectly manicured hands trembled as she tried to grasp the situation. But your little online business. Let me show you what that little business built. I nodded to Sarah, who activated full displays of Nova's holdings. The smart walls filled with data. Financial networks spanning the globe, quantum computing centers, AI-driven banking systems, and technological innovations that made traditional banking obsolete. Every time you use your credit card, I explained to my stunned family, every time you make an online purchase, every time you transfer money, you're using Nova Digital's technology. We process 87% of global digital transactions. Ms. Miller, another executive, entered. The Federal Reserve Chairman is on line 1 about the new digital currency framework. Dad's face went from pale to ashen. The Federal Reserve. Stat. While you were bragging about your $10 billion account, I was redesigning the global financial system. Those internet games you mocked? They're now the backbone of international commerce. The screens displayed Nova's latest projects: quantum-secured banking, AI-driven investment platforms, and financial technologies that were reshaping civilization. Your office, Dad? I continued, watching him flinch. The one you're so proud of? It's being converted into Nova's quantum computing lab. Don't worry, we found you a nice cubicle on the 3rd floor. 3rd floor. His voice cracked. But I'm the CO. We're the CO, I corrected. Nova Digital doesn't do courtesy titles. You'll need to earn your position like everyone else. Peter, trying to salvage something, spoke up, but my directorship is being reevaluated. I cut him off. Let's look at your actual performance, shall we? Sarah projected Peter's work history onto the screens. Failed projects, covered-up mistakes, and mediocre achievements that Dad had painted as successes. Your last 3 initiatives lost $180 million, I pointed out. Dad covered it up by cooking the books. Something our forensic AI discovered within minutes of the acquisition. That's confidential information. Peter sputtered. Not anymore. Nothing is confidential from Nova's systems. We see everything, track everything, process everything. Those secret offshore accounts you thought were hidden? We've been monitoring them for months. Mom's expensive mascara began to run. Julia, surely we can discuss this as family. Family. I laughed softly. Like when you discussed removing me from the Christmas card list because my internet hobby embarrassed you at the country club. Or when Peter told his banking friends I was mentally unstable for leaving Andersen Financial. The screens shifted to show more of my empire. Nova's global headquarters, research facilities, and technological innovations that made Andersen Financial look like a small-town savings and loan. Ms. Miller, Sarah interrupted. The space banking division needs your approval for the Mars colony transactions. Space banking. Mom whispered. His mom. Those science fiction fantasies you ridiculed? They're now reality. Nova's processing the first interplanetary financial networks. Dad finally found his voice. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I raised an eyebrow. Like when I tried to explain my business model at Christmas 3 years ago and you said I was playing pretend CEO? Or when I attempted to discuss my innovations at Easter, and Peter said I should get a real job like adults. The screens displayed more breaking news. Nova Digital revolutionizes global finance. Julia Miller named world's most influential financial leader. Peter's wife Amanda, trying to maintain her composure, spoke up. But surely our positions in the company are being restructured, I finished for her. In fact, let's discuss your new roles now. Sarah distributed employment contracts, very different from their current ones. Peter, you'll be joining our junior analytics team. Entry-level position, of course. Dad, we found you a role in customer service. Mom, the reception desk needs staffing. Reception. Mom's voice was barely audible. Consider it a learning opportunity, I smiled. You always said I needed to understand business from the ground up. Now you can do the same. The final blow came when my assistant projected one last set of numbers: my personal net worth versus the combined value of every company my family had ever dreamed of owning. But the night wasn't over yet. The real shock was still to come. The fine dining experience had devolved into a corporate takeover, the $1,000 per plate meals growing cold as my empire was unveiled. But I wasn't finished, not even close. The real devastation was about to begin. "Ms. Miller," Sarah announced, "the World Economic Forum livestream is ready. They're waiting for your keynote address on the future of global finance." Perfect timing, I smiled, standing as the smart walls transformed into a direct feed to Davos. World leaders, financial titans, and economic powerhouses waited for my address. "Good evening, distinguished colleagues," I began, watching Mom's mascara run faster as she realized her failing daughter was addressing the most powerful people on Earth. Nova Digital's acquisition of Andersen Financial Group marks the beginning of our global financial restructuring initiative. Dad's hands gripped his chair as he watched presidents and prime ministers nod along to my every word. "Remember when you said I'd never understand real finance, Dad?" I turned to him during a brief pause. "Pay attention, you might learn something about the future of money." The screens filled with Nova's revolutionary systems: quantum encrypted transactions, AI-driven market predictions, and financial technologies that made traditional banking obsolete. "As of tonight," I continued, addressing both Davos and my family, "Nova Digital controls 93% of global digital transactions. Every credit card swipe, every online purchase, every bank transfer, it all goes through our systems." Peter's face went from red to white as the implications hit him. "But that means your precious Morgan account?" I smiled. "It's been running on my technology all along. Those impressive trading algorithms you bragged about? They're just simplified versions of Nova's basic systems." The displays showed real-time transaction data, quadrillions of dollars flowing through Nova's networks every second. "Ms. Miller," another executive rushed in, "the Chinese central bank is requesting immediate consultation on their digital currency integration." Mom's social climbing dreams suddenly seemed very small as she watched her daughter casually discuss restructuring the world's second-largest economy. "Your new employment contracts," I turned back to my family, "require full integration with Nova's systems. That means learning how real financial technology works." Sarah distributed updated documents, employment terms that made their previous positions look like child's play. "These are entry-level positions," I explained. "You'll need to earn any advancement. No more riding on Dad's coattails, Peter. No more covering up mistakes with creative accounting." "But I have 30 years of experience," Dad protested. "In obsolete systems," I corrected. "Nova's interns understand more about modern finance than Andersen Financial's entire board of directors." The screens displayed their new roles in stark detail: basic positions requiring extensive retraining and proving their worth. "Ms. Miller," Sarah interrupted, "the quantum banking division is ready for your review. And the Mars Colony's financial network is online." "Mars Colony?" Peter choked on his wine. "Yes, brother dear. While you were bragging about your $10 billion account, I was establishing the first interplanetary banking system. Those internet games you mocked? They're now handling transactions between planets." The displays showed Nova's space initiatives: orbital banking stations, lunar financial centers, and Martian economic systems that redefine the meaning of global finance. "By the way," I added, "your offshore accounts? They're being audited. All of them. Even the ones you think we don't know about." Peter's face went from white to gray. "You can't." "I can, and I did. Nova's AI found some interesting discrepancies. The SEC will be very interested in our findings." Mom tried one last appeal. "Julia, darling, surely we can discuss this as family." "Family?" I laughed. "Like when you discussed my future at the country club, telling everyone I was having a mental breakdown because I left Andersen Financial. Or when Dad told his golf buddies I was throwing my life away on internet schemes." The screens showed more breaking news. Nova Digital CEO Julia Miller becomes world's youngest trillionaire, revolutionizes global finance. "Trillionaire," Dad whispered, his hands shaking. "Dad, that hobby you mocked built something bigger than you ever imagined. Want to see what else your delusional daughter owns? Sarah began displaying Nova's complete portfolio. Financial institutions, tech companies, space ventures, an empire that spanned Earth and beyond. Your precious Anderson Financial Group? I continued, it's being completely restructured. The name will remain as a cautionary tale of what happens to companies that refuse to innovate. The smart walls displayed the transformation plans. Anderson's outdated offices becoming Nova's quantum computing centers, their traditional banking floors converted to AI research labs. But our clients, Peter started, are already Nova clients, I cut him off. Have been for years. Every transaction they made went through our systems. We just let Anderson Financial pretend they were still relevant. Just then, every phone in the room buzzed, global news alerts about Nova's latest innovation. A universal digital currency that would make traditional banking obsolete. That's right, I confirmed, watching their faces. While you were proud of processing billions, I was reinventing money itself. Sarah displayed the market reactions. Traditional banks collapsing as Nova's new system rendered them obsolete. Anderson Financial would have been one of them, if I hadn't bought it first. One last thing, I stood smoothing my dress. Those executive offices you're so proud of? They're being converted to quantum computing labs. But don't worry, you'll still get to see them. We will. Mom asked hopefully. Yes. The cleaning staff works nights. I smiled. Welcome to the future of finance, where success isn't inherited, it's earned. Something you're all about to learn the hard way. As I walked toward the door, leaving them with their cold food and colder reality, I turned back one final time. Oh, and those country club memberships you love so much? Nova just bought the club. Your memberships are being re-evaluated. The smart walls displayed one final headline, The New Queen of Finance. How Julia Miller built a trillion-dollar empire while her family mocked her dreams. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success so massive it forces your critics to work for you. And I was just getting started. The next phase would show them what a hobby could really do.